Hey guys, we have some amusing news today. After Super Tuesday, it became a two-horse race again. Two old white horses. Believe it or not, I actually predicted this a while ago. Bernie Biden, right? Biden-Bernie 2020. Actually, listen to this.
I have written the damn bill, and it will include hearing aids, eyeglasses, crutches, and wheelchairs. Basically everything I or your grandparents would need when the time comes.
I will cure cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's diseases, and I will legalize marijuana. Biden-Bernie 2020, together we go high. Biden burning hell. Period. That's number one. Number two, I have a very good friend. President, my boss.
In fact, I not only predicted Biden versus Bernie for the nomination, but also that Biden-Bernie 2020 might be the only way to beat Donald Trump. Think about it. We have Sleepy Joe, we have Crazy Bernie, but do you think either of them could beat Donald Trump? Nah. In fact, if they can, somehow work together, miraculously, they might be able to beat Donald Trump. And Joe Biden is a gaffe machine now. Listen to this.
A historic moment today in the world of politics. After much trial and error and a great deal of anxiety and frustrated harumphing on cable news panels, the Democratic establishment tonight finally has chosen a candidate to stop Bernie Sanders before he can take their money. There's much relief in Washington right now. The Sanders threat is imminent and profound, and they've been sweating it. Imagine General Chinese Gordon surrounded by screaming Mahdi's at the siege of Khartoum, and you will know how they feel. Terrified. It's one thing if your country falls apart, if 10th graders can't read and 9-year-olds are taking puberty-blocking drugs and downtown L.A. looks like Calcutta and another 10,000 more Americans just died of fentanyl overdose. Whatever. Americans are dying. Democrats are fine with that. They can live with it. They do. They don't say a word. But if there's a rogue candidate out there who might actually be serious about closing the carried interest loophole and forcing private equity barons to pay the same effective tax rate that you do, well, that cannot stand. It's totally and completely unacceptable. In fact, it's morally wrong. Alert the panel on Morning Joe, we're going to war. And tonight they have found their warhorse, a hero they imagine will carry them forth to victory against the wild-haired infidel from Vermont. It is this candidate, whom you should know, is literally now the youngest man in the Democratic race. This is the man they believe has the competence, the intensity, the intellect to repel the seething horde of Sandersites. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Biden.
Look, tomorrow's Super Tuesday, and I want to thank you all. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? 150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. It would put 720 million women back in the workforce. Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. What's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Yep, that's the man. It's Super Thursday, and he's running for the United States Senate in memory of the nearly half the country that's murdered by guns in the last few years, guided by the belief that other children are as bright and talented as white kids, not to mention clean and articulate. And in the hope that he can put 750 million women back to work, whether they want to go or not. If that's the kind of transformational candidate you're looking for, Joe Biden is your man. Or if you're looking for someone to get you a second serving of Jell-O from the 4:30 early bird buffet, Biden could do that too. He's a Renaissance man, though as he himself would tell you, the Renaissance was an awful long time ago, back during the Carter administration, actually. And you know what? Jimmy was a good guy, better than they said, and so on. Honestly, and how do you say this without being rude or mean, this whole thing is sad. Worse than that, it's cruel. Running Joe Biden for president is like making your dog wear a dress. It may make for an amusing Instagram post, but it's wrong. You can see the confusion in the dog's eyes. You can see the same thing in Joe Biden's eyes if you look closely. Why am I here? What are we talking about? Maybe if I make a lot of noises about push-ups, no one will notice. So far, the only thing we've learned from Biden's candidacy is that there's no one around him who cares enough to make him stop. Instead, there are only enablers. Today, both Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar endorsed Biden. So did former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and Beto O'Rourke. These are party people doing the bidding of their corporate masters. There's nothing warm or sentimental about it. They're pushing a defective product on consumers, and they know it. They're selling lawn darts. But whatever it takes. The Biden campaign isn't about ideas, much less ideals. The Democratic establishment's only concern is institutional control. That's where all of their power comes from holding together and running things. If the Democratic coalition breaks down, they are by definition powerless. They have nothing. And the real threat of Bernie Sanders is the threat he poses to the party. He could split it in half and break it forever. That cannot happen. Joe Biden is their last chance. That's why they're backing him. Probably the only group sincerely cheering Biden on tonight are the credit card companies. For decades, Biden was their paid lackey in Washington. They bribed him with cash. They gave jobs to his son. In return, he carried their legislation through Congress dutifully for many, many years. Meanwhile, untold Americans, average Joes, as Joe himself likes to say, were crushed by credit card debt. The average credit card interest rate in this country is 21%. 21% interest at a time when the Fed is giving banks billions of dollars nearly for free. That's how low interest rates are for them, but you're paying 21%. This is a disaster. How bad is it? Let's put it in perspective. Ask yourself, how many people do you know personally who've been hospitalized for coronavirus, something we're all worried about, and justly? Maybe none. Now ask yourself, how many people you know personally whose lives have been diminished or destroyed by credit card debt? Yeah. Maybe it's happened to you. It probably has. It's happened to so many people. Joe Biden is one of the decision makers who made that possible. It's not an overstatement. But they don't care. Now they're telling you that for the good of the country, you've got to vote for Joe Biden. Keep in mind, they don't even believe it as they say it. They don't even like Biden. But at this point, they'll say anything because they have to.
And Bernie isn't going away. He's going to take it to the convention. Bernie is about to knock Joe into next week. Even if he keeps losing, he'll go down swinging. Bernie, he plays better as an underdog anyway. He can't handle being the front runner. You saw that. He crashed and burned when he had the lead. Remember, he praised communism and couldn't tell you how he'd pay for socialism. So the voters chose Sleepy Joe instead. They can't paper over their problems. The Democrats are divided by age, race, region, especially ideology. You think the Bernie bros are going to hold their nose and vote for Joe? Mr. Establishment, who wants to work with Mitch McConnell? Who votes for bad wars and bad trade deals? No. There's a gaping wound on the left. You just can't slap a Band-Aid on it. The president broke down the state of the race the other day.
I'll tell you, I was all set for Bernie because I thought it was going to happen. You know, we get ready for things, right? So mentally, I'm all set for Bernie. Communist, I had everything down. He's a communist. I was all set. And then we have this crazy thing that happened, right, on Tuesday, which he thought was Thursday. But he also said 150 million people were killed with guns, and he was running for the United States Senate. Support me, I'm running for the United States. There's something going on there. So now I'm ready for Bernie, and now all of a sudden I have a whole different, it's a whole different deal, two very different people. I think in a certain way Bernie would be tougher.
The president still matches up beautifully against Biden. Biden doesn't have a movement behind him. His base is fractured. He's soft on China, soft on the border, terrible on trade, bad instincts overseas. He likes AOC's Green New Deal, and he oversaw a sluggish recovery while the Trump economy created over 500,000 new jobs in just the last 2 months. And he doesn't have a sharp enough tongue to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump under the lights. And, by the way, where's Hunter?